Okay, for our first galaxy, for this galaxy log, we head into Triangulum, and the galaxy is NGC 890. As we zoom in here from Stellarium Web, and here it is, NGC 890. It's a fairly bright galaxy, but it's small. It's not too hard to find. If we pull out here, we can come back up here to Triangulum. Here's Gamma Triangulum, and you can see there's a cascade of stars that kind of lead to 890. Now, if you're using a telescope that's just that has no go-to or digital setting circles, and you're just doing the star hop, you might want to use a little bit more magnification than usual if you're using, if you do your normal star hop with low magnification, because the galaxy isn't very big. It's kind of small, and but like I said, it is bright, but it'll be easier to distinguish the galaxy from the field stars that you see. So let's go to the near view image, and here it is. The date I observed this was on 11/13/2020. In the particulars, you can see it's a fairly bright galaxy, good high surface brightness, but it is small. It is far out there, also 185 million light years. The telescope I was using was my 12-inch f4 Dob, and an eyepiece of 6mm, and sky conditions were good. Early on, they weren't very good at all, but later on, it got a little bit better, and seeing was pretty good. I wouldn't consider it an excellent night, but it was a pretty good night. But let's talk about the galaxy. First of all, you can see it lies in a nice field of stars. The galaxy is slightly elongated from northeast to southwest. There's a bright stellar nucleus that stands out fairly well, and the inner core region of the galaxy looked a little bit irregular to me a little bit. It wasn't quite even, kind of patchy a little bit, but yeah, it's a nice galaxy. And like I said, it can be seen in smaller telescopes. You can use higher magnification. The galaxy does respond well to high magnification, but like I said, it is an easy galaxy to find in small, or see in smaller telescopes. But yeah, take a look at this one. Okay, for our next it's actually a pair of galaxies. We head into Perseus, and it's NGC 1161, which is right here, and actually has another galaxy nearby, NGC 1160. Fairly easy to find. It does lie in a rich field of stars, but the galaxy is near this pair of stars here of 9th and 10th magnitude. So it wasn't real hard to find with low power. And if we go to the near view image, and here we go. This was actually a pretty cool view. I actually like this view a lot. In the particulars, the brighter galaxy is 1161. Fairly bright, fairly high surface brightness, not real big in its distance. And then it's a little companion galaxy, or background galaxy actually, is much dimmer, lower surface brightness, and not very big at all. And this time with the 12-inch, I was using a 5mm ultra-wide eyepiece. And like I said, the sky conditions when I was doing this was actually pretty good at the time. So let's talk about the galaxies. And here's that pair of brighter stars that you see right here of 9th and 10th magnitude. And 1161 kind of sits right next to them. It doesn't really take much away. The galaxy is fairly bright and has a high surface brightness. And the first thing you'll notice I noticed was a very bright stellar nucleus that stood out really well. And the inner core of the galaxy is fairly bright also. Slightly oval shape. It wasn't round. It had a slight oval shape to it. And then if we go just north of it, and here's NGC 1160, it's a spiral galaxy. and it sits, elongated to us, not edge on, but it is elongated. In the eyepiece, I really didn't see any stellar nucleus. It just showed uh, a very faint diffuse disk of the galaxy going northeast to southwest. Maybe at moments of good seeing, I could make out a faint core, but it wasn't easy to see it. This galaxy as far as seeing detail. But it does make a nice pair with 1161. And you can see it lies in a fairly rich field of stars. It kind of highlights the galaxies themselves. And for the final galaxy for this galaxy log, we stay in Perseus, and we head to what I consider one of the fine galaxies of this time of year, and it's NGC 1023. Fairly easy star hop. Go to 12 Perseus, and it's right there. It's nearby. And if we zoom in here on Stellarium Web, and we will see comes up another galaxy, and it's NGC 1023. But we'll talk about that with a near view coming up. So then let's go to the near view image. And actually, this night, I had 2 telescopes out. I also had my 6-inch f5 Newt. And so I wanted to observe and compare the two views through the telescope. And this is actually a really nice view. It was with a 7mm eyepiece. And the galaxies showed really well. A nice little stellar nucleus, nice elongated disk. But the overall view in this nice line of stars that's next to it, it really made for a really nice view, even in this smaller telescope. Now, if we go here, here I can give the particulars here. Here's the galaxy. You can see it's a very bright galaxy, high surface brightness, large galaxy. Here's its distance. And here, with the 12-inch, I was using the 5mm eyepiece, and it gave really a spectacular view. This was my view of the night. I really enjoyed this view. Bright stellar nucleus stood out really, really well. You can see the galaxy itself is long, large, and easily visible. As being elongated from going east to west. But what's interesting, if you look right around this area right here, there's a very faint haze or so, and that's that NGC 1023A, but it's a PGC galaxy, PGC 10139. Here's its particulars. So it is faint, small, and it is within companion distance of 1023. So it's slightly background galaxy at 5 million light years, a little farther away, but it's in that group. And I was really pleased. This was probably the smallest telescope that I've ever actually saw this PGC galaxy. I've seen it in the 22. I've seen it in my 16 that I used to have, but this was the smallest telescope that I actually was able to see it. And it wasn't real difficult. I could see it was there. And what was funny was that when I first went to the galaxy with this eyepiece, the first thing, of course, was, wow, the galaxy really looks good. 1023 really looks good, bright, and really nice star field. And then I just noticed that, wow, they're right there off that eastern edge. There's a slight glow, and you could actually see it. So I was real pleased to see that. This was, like I said, the view of the night for me. And with this galaxy here, if you haven't never seen this galaxy, it's one of those kind of galaxies that people will say, oh, how did Messier miss this one? Because it could have been a Messier galaxy, one of the bright Messier galaxies. So yeah, it was a really great way to end this Galaxy session. Clear dark skies and happy galaxy observing. Okay, let's first talk about the dark site and the sky conditions that night. The dark site I went to is our best of our local dark sites. Has a good elevation of just under 1,800 feet and a fairly remote area. Sky conditions that night, it started off pretty poor. There was a bit of clouds, and even when it cleared up a bit, there was a little bit of a high haze. But that also cleared up and made for a good overall night. Seeing conditions were real good. Transparency, I would say, was just good. As I mentioned in the video that I took, especially with NGC 1023, that I had two telescopes up. The smaller scope was a GSO 6-inch f5 reflector on a Explore Scientific twilight mount, and the combination really is really great. The twilight mount handles the tubu sublimate very well, but this scope I really enjoy. This is a really nice, compact, medium-sized telescope that does show some really nice views. I'm really surprised how good the optics are in this telescope. The optics are very good. In the primary scope I had set up this night was my Orion Optics UK 12-inch f4 Dob, which is a really nice telescope. It has premium optics in it, really nice optics. Also, I like it that it is compact, and you can sit in an observing chair to view through the telescope. Also, for this night and the Galaxies in Galaxy Log that I was using the eyepieces for, I didn't have the chroma corrector. It was less a chroma corrector. The eyepiece I used in the 12-inch for observing NGC 890 was a 6mm Teleview Delos, which is a favorite eyepiece. The eyepiece I used for NGC 1023 through the 6-inch f5 reflector was a Celestron XL LX 7mm, and I really like these eyepieces for the price. They're very nice eyepieces to use in any telescope, really. You know, if you can't afford the more expensive eyepieces, this is a great alternative eyepiece. And for the view of NGC 1161 and its partner 1160 and NGC 1023 through the 12-inch, I had a APM 5mm XWA, really fine eyepiece. It's in that ethos type eyepieces, has a 110-degree field. Really great eye. I really like this eyepiece. You know, if you can't afford an ethos, you know, in similar focal range, this is really a great alternative. I think most would agree that it's really a premium eyepiece. And the view I had through the 12-inch of 1023 of NGC 1023 was really spectacular, and still sits in my mind of how great that view was that night.